again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of a garment, which is what I usually do, we're going to be making a lovely lacy pineapple stitch bookmark. Yep. It's really quite easy once you get used to the repeat. It works up very fast and it is very practical. And, since I am a massive bookworm, I thought, yeah, I'm going to share my love of reading one step further with you guys. And usually I don't go into doing thread crochet, but I don't know, maybe I decided to be a glutton for punishment and really go with the fine stuff for a change. I don't know, I rather like it, and like I said, it works up very, very fast. Now, this particular piece, I used, do we have a number here? Where's the number? It is a 1.5 millimeter thread crochet hook. Now, these I did get in a set on Amazon. I'm not entirely sure if these are the same sort of gauge as far as accuracy, when compared to the boy hooks, but these have a much nicer handle, so I went with these. So this is a 1.5 millimeter hook, and I used, yes, some crochet thread. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with crochet thread, this is a 10, which is a weight of 0. So this is pretty darn thin, although this is not the thinnest on the market, just so that you're aware of. And the recommended hook size is a 1.5 millimeter. And the colorway is maze, as in corn, not as in a labyrinth. And yeah, so I, made not just this one, but also one in a lovely purple color, and one in a lovely red. I think this might be cardinal red, if I'm not mistaken. And then peacock blue and sort of an off-white. I've never been a fan of the white. I prefer more of a neutral. At any rate, because working with such a fine hook and such fine thread on camera might be a little bit difficult to see, we're going to scale things up a little bit. We're actually going to be using a much larger hook. This is a 5 millimeter hook, and going to be using some weight of 3 yarn to make visualizing it a little bit easier. But as far as how it's being stitched, it's exactly the same way. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to mention that the yarn that we're going to be using, this is Bernat Baby Sport. So just clarify that, right out of the gate. So round 1, going to start with a slip knot and a chaining of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then do a slip stitch into the first chain to create a ring. And then from here, chain up 3. And that's going to count as our first double crochet. Then into the ring, another double crochet, chain 1, and then into the ring, 2 more double crochets. And this is going to create our first cluster, and we are going to be making a lot of these because this is the means of beginning and ending each row. So 2 doubles, two doubles, a chain stitch, and then 2 doubles. Then we need some space in between our clusters. So chain 3, and then we're going to do another cluster. So that's 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles into the center ring. So 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. There we go, and that is row 1. Row 2. Start off by chaining up 1, and then we need to slip stitch our way to the chain 1 space. Now, when I was doing the thread crochet example, after chaining 1, I skipped this first double crochet and slipped into the second double crochet, and then slipped into the chain 1 space, and that worked out fine for me. You might want to chain up 1, slip stitch into the first, then into the second, and then into the chain space. Frankly, I found that this worked out for me just fine. And it was a little bit easier, especially on such a fine, small scale. That's just my personal opinion and my experience. So that's how we're going to go, based on, this particular example. So at any rate, chain up 3 for the first double, and then into the same chain 1 space, double. So we've got 2 doubles, chain 1, and then 2 more doubles into that same space. So we get our first cluster done, chain 1, and then into the chain 3 space, 5 doubles. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, and then a cluster into this chain 1 space. So 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. There we go. All right, so that is the end of row 2. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to state that, yes, you can alter this pattern quite easily, actually, by altering the number of double crochets. And initially, I had quite a few more, and my piece was really, really wide, so I did do a lot of fiddling and finagling. Also, instead of 1 chain space in our clusters, I had, at one point, I think I had 2 chain spaces. It was too wide and cumbersome for the width of a bookmark. So you can alter this. So we have our 5 here, and we're going to continue on with row 3. I'm all tongue-tied today, pardon me. Row 3. Chain up 1, slip stitch. You could go into that first one. I'm just going to go into that second one for this piece, like I said. Just slip stitch into there, and then slip stitch into the chain 1 space. As long as when you chain up 1 and then slip stitch into that second double, as long as you're not doing it too tightly, it won't buckle, and you'll be fine. At least that's my experience. So chaining up 3, double into the same chain 1 space, chain 1, and 2 more doubles. Okay, chain 1, and then going to do double and chain 1 spaces for these 5. So after chaining 1 here, double into the first double, chain 1, double into the next, pull out a little bit more yarn, chain 1, double into the next, chain 1, double in the next, chain 1, double in the next. So you should have 5 doubles separated by chain 1 spaces, chain 1, and then cluster into the chain space. So that's 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you have it. So that is the end of row 3. Row 4. Chain up 1, turn the work, slip stitch into that second double, slip stitch into the chain 1 space, chain up 3, double in the same space, chain 1, 2 more doubles in the space, there we are. Okay, now we're going to start creating those arches for the pineapple. So instead of just chaining 1 like we did previously, now it's chaining of 3. 1, 2, 3. Single crochet into not this chain space here, but the ones of the actual fan. So the second chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 3, single into the next space, chain 3, single into the next space that is, chain 3, and single into the chain 1 space. So you're going to want 3 of these arches, 1, 2, and 3. From here, chain 3, and then cluster into that chain 1 space at the end. So 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you are. That is the end of row 4. Now, if you had more double crochets down here, you would invariably have more double crochets, up here as well. And the reason why I chose 5 is because I like odd numbers. And so to have 3 of these arches, I think is rather nice. If you wanted your piece to be more narrow, not quite so wide, you could technically do it. However, that would have a direct reflection on how many of these arches you would have. And I have a thing for odd numbers. Don't ask me why. I just do. At any rate, let's keep on keeping on with row 5. Row 5. Chain up 1, turn the work, slip stitch into that second double, slip stitch into the chain 1 space, and chain up 3. Double into the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, okay, And we're going to keep on with the chaining of 3. So 1, 2, 3, after we do our cluster, into the first arch, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into the next arch, chain 3, single crochet into that third arch. So we went from 3 arches down to 2 arches. Okay, so then chain 3 and cluster in the chain 1 space of the cluster. So 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. And that is the end of row 5. Row 6. Chain up 1, turn the work, slip stitch to the second double. It's always the same. Slip stitch into the chain 1 space, and do your cluster. Chain up 3, double into the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, okay, chain 3. Okay, now we're going to be working with these 2 arches. So single crochet into the first arch, chain 3, single crochet into the second arch, and now we only have 1 arch. Chain 3, and then scooting our way over to the cluster by doing our cluster in the cluster. So that's 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. So 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. Okay, and that is row 6, and our pineapple is nearly finished. Row 7. Chain up 1, turn the work, slip stitch into the second stitch, slip stitch into the chain space, chain up 3, double in the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, chain 3, single crochet into that last arch, chain 3, and then cluster in the cluster. So into that chain 1 space, 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. There we go. And it should look something like this at this point. All right, let's keep going. All right, so row 8 is going to be the end of our first motif. What we do is chain up 1 and work our way over by slip stitching into the second stitch and into the chain space as we have been doing. Chain up 3, double into the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in that same space, and then chain 1, and then going over to our cluster on the other side, and we're going to join them by going in with 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And that brings it together and finishes our first pineapple motif. And so for the bookmark that I had done previously, I had done a total of 3 of these pineapple motifs. If you feel that it's going to be too long, you could end after a total of 2 motifs, really whatever it is that you would like to do. I am going to do a full repeat for you. I don't think I'm going to do all 3 motifs, but the repeat is now going to begin. Alrighty. Okay, so row 9 is where we're going to start our full repeat. So it's going to be very familiar to you because it's essentially the same thing that we did down here. So I'm going to chain up 1 and begin our new cluster. Slip stitch to that second stitch and into the chain 1 space. Chain up 3, double in the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space. Okay. Now we need to extend this so it starts to grow out. So chain 3, then cluster in the opposing cluster with 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you go. So it's just going to keep growing out and doing its thing. So that is row 9. Row 10. Okay, start by chaining up 1 and turning the work. Slip stitch to the second stitch and into the chain 1 space. Chain up 3. Double in the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, chain 1, and then 5 doubles into this chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, and then cluster into that chain 1 space with 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you are. That is row 10. Row 11. Chain up 1, turn the work, slip stitch into the second stitch and into the chain 1 space, chain up 3, and double, chain 1, 2 more doubles, all into that chain 1 space. Chain 1. We haven't reached the 3s yet. So after chaining 1, double into the double, chain 1, double into the next, chain 1, double in the next, chain 1, double in the next, chain 1, and double into that 5th one. There we go. So we got our 5 separated by chain 1 spaces, chain 1, and cluster into the cluster. So that's 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. Okay, and that is row 11. Row 12. Chain up 1 and turn the work. Slip into the 2nd stitch and into the chain space. Chain up 3 and double. Chain 1, 2 doubles. Okay, so now we need to chain 3 because we're going to be going into the chain spaces. So, chain 3, single into the 2nd space, not this first one. We need to get into our grouping here. So, single crochet, chain 3, single into the next space, chain 3, single in the next space, chain 3, and single in that last space. So you've got 3 arches, chain 3, and cluster in the cluster. 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you go. That is row 12 for the repeat. Looking so pretty. Absolutely love how this looks. Oh, love it. All right, let's keep going. Row 13. Chaining up 1 and turning the work. Slipping into the 2nd stitch. And the chain 1 space, chain up 3, double in the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, chain 3, single crochet into the first of the 3 arches, chain 3, single into the next arch, chain 3, single into that 3rd arch, pull out some more yarn as needs be, chain 3, and then cluster in the cluster with 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. There you go. Row 14. Chain up 1 and turn the work. Slip into the 2nd stitch and into the chain space. Chain up 3. Double in the same space. chain 1, 2 more doubles in the same space. Okay, chain 3. Okay, we've got 2 arches. Single crochet into the first arch. Chain 3. Single into the second arch. Chain 3. And cluster in the cluster. 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. There you go. Okay, so now we only have 1 arch left. Row 15. Chain 1 and turn. Slip into the second stitch. Slip into the chain space. Chain up 3. Double in the same space. Chain 1. 2 doubles in the same space. Chain 3. Single crochet into that last lonely little arch. But he's got lots of friends below. Chain 3. And cluster in the cluster. 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. Okay, almost there. And row 16. Chain 1, turn the work, slip stitch in the second, slip stitch in the chain space, chain up 3, double in the same space, chain 1, 2 doubles in the same space, okay, then chain 1. We're going to bridge the gap, going directly over to the next cluster with 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. And there you go. So that is row 16 for the repeat and a completed second motif. Now, you could keep going on, most definitely, if you are of a mind to. So let's just recap. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 was the one where we did the chaining of 3. Okay, so it's rows 9 through 16 is the full repeat. So you could do that again, and of course there are timestamps in the description box down below as always. Or if you wanted to, you could finish off here, or you could, make your pineapple strip as long as you want to. You could just keep repeating rows 9 through 16 indefinitely. That's fine too. But I'm going to show you a really easy and quick way of finishing up your last motif. So when you're ready to finish up your last motif, I'm going to call this row 17. So as per usual, chain up 1 and turn your work. Slip stitch into the second as per usual, then into the chain space, then going a little bit further, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches as well, and into the chain space in between the clusters. So just slip stitching away all the way across. Then chain up 3 and double into the same space. Chain 1 and 2 more doubles. And this is how I finish up my my bookmark after a total of 3 pineapple motifs. And then you would cut your yarn and pull it through and then sew in your ends. And this way you have these sort of jagged, edgy clusters all the way around your entire piece. And I think it looks really quite nice. Also, another advantage is that with this chain 1 space in between for your cluster, it is the perfect spot to add your tassel, as you can see that I did right here. Now, I do have a tutorial actually on how to make tassels, so I'm going to put the link to that also in the description box down below as well. So, my dears, I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. I had a lot of fun, not just because I love crocheting, but because I like trying new things and showing them to you. Indeed, I do. So like I said before, all you have to do is just repeat rows 9 through 16, and you can have yourself a lovely, lovely bookmark. Yes. So if you like today's tutorial, please do hit that thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation. Let me know what you think. What sort of colors you might use. Are you going to give these as gifts or I don't know. I'm always curious for your input and your feedback. Most definitely. So at any rate, listen, until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. And while you're doing that, read a book and use your bookmark. Hope you guys have a great, great day, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Have a good one.